Hey, everybody, welcome back to Great Mondays Radio. Today we have on Valerie Jardon, who's the managing director of strategy at Interior Architects, the first firm that was focused exclusively on interiors. They've expanded beyond that now. They're a global firm of 18 offices, and she is here to talk to us about the intersection of experience and space. We're going to get into what space can and can't do for your culture, and thinking about sort of the intentionality of the space or what happens when you're not intentional with the space,
Mhm.
and where we are in this kind of hybrid distributed world and the role of space going forward. So, Valerie, we're going to cover a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
Thank you
we
for
are.
coming on Great Mondays Radio. I'm so excited to talk to you about this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me. Excited to be
So,
here.
yeah. Quickly, your role. So you are the head, you're the managing director of strategy at a architecture firm. What does that mean?
Yeah, so we actually blew up strategy at the beginning of the year. The firm has always had a strategy practice, but as of January 1st this year, being a managing director of strategy meant we are leading a multidisciplinary team that brings a lot of human sciences to the table so that we can bring a lot of academic and trusted, tried research out in the world into practice more actively. So for us, we work with large global organizations, actually all scale of organizations, and we go in, we're the front line essentially to the design team, and we go in and we help understand their culture, how place can support their culture, what their future goals and drives are, and we set the stage. So hopefully design comes in after us and makes it beautiful.
All right. So you're going to go in and talk to them about culture and help them explore that and understand that. So let's just start with the kind of the broad thesis around experience, the intersection of experience and space. Can you just if you have a really amazing workspace, does that is that enough to do the work of culture?
Not enough. It's one leg of the stool, but it's definitely something that will make a big impact because it's giving somebody someplace nice to go, showing them that you have thought about what they need, given them the resources to do their jobs and to have balance in their lives and all of these things that actually can definitely support a positive culture.
Hmm.
And so that's what we're really striving for is to help people align that goal back to their space. But on the flip side, if they have crappy space,
Yeah.
no one wants to come in. They're going to do the bare minimum. They don't really, the space doesn't work for them. So they're not going to be as productive.
Right. It does feel like use this term supportive, and so we're going to give you we by giving you kind of the amenities, the opportunities, the place to do your work. We're demonstrating that we care about you as an employee. So we're giving
Absolutely.
you everything we can. Can you do you have examples of, or have you seen where a space actually enables someone to go beyond that kind of like, great, I feel taken care of, I've been given the opportunity, but like even engage further, right? To go even like, what is the outer limits of what a space can do?
It's a good question. So let's think about that. There's definitely clients that have gone above and beyond. And even if we just think about, you know, the COVID, post-COVID kind of thing, pre-COVID, post-COVID, there was a lot of things pre-COVID that people didn't talk about a lot. Culture being one of them, experience
Yep.
being one of them, wellness
Hmm.
being one of them. And so those were things that we tried to push before COVID. And of course, after COVID, everyone was kind of scattered and running to find those things and implement them where they could. But the companies that did and had the best return to office experiences were the ones that had already thought about that stuff prior to the pandemic happening. And they gave them, autonomy over their spaces. They gave them a variety of spaces for them to work in. They gave them access to up to date environments, access to daylight and views, pulled on the psychological triggers of playing with scale and visual complexity and all of these things that balanced and made people feel excited to be there. And they were
Hmm.
connected and they were able to, find each other, have their water cooler moments or whatever, serendipitous interactions, build social capital. They got their work done. They found the environments they needed to go to do it. And so that those cultures, the people that lived that and really put that into play prior to COVID succeeded, and they were a whole lot easier coming out of the pandemic than the ones that were always very siloed, regimented environments. Maybe they weren't, you know, hadn't been remodeled in a very long time. They were darker, dingier, and then people just didn't have as much excitement to return. So I think from that aspect, that was a big success story, was
Hmm.
seeing how, the pullback after COVID, if space was done right, you had a much easier time.
Getting people back.
Yeah.
What are in your experience, what are the benefits? Let's just kind of go a little bit further, push a little bit further, right? You've sort of mentioned them, but there's been a lot of articulation around, should we, do we need to go back to the office? So you're describing environments that allow people to have the flexibility to kind of do the work. It's almost like you're competing with the amenities of home, right? So it's
Hmm.
either home or it's work. And so we can do better, we can give you more at work, but what are the ways that or the ways that people can be more, I don't want to just say productive or effective or useful when you go into an office and we'll presume well designed.
Yeah. Um, I guess when it comes to home, it's very hard to fight home.
It is
There's
hard to
a
it's
lot
hard
of
to if there's
reasons
one thing we've learned,
why we
right? It's
want
hard
to
to
be
fight
home.
home.
It's hard to fight home. Like we're comfortable there. We don't have to get as dressed up there. We don't have the commute. And honestly, the commute is a big part of why people don't want to come in. I mean, it's multifaceted. But commute is a big one. And home is always going to be hard to compete with. But at the end of the day, home is not the same for everybody. And so what we have found since COVID is that it's really the younger generations that really want to be in. They don't have the social capital. They don't know the culture of the company. They don't have the years of experience. And it's the more seasoned employees that are saying, I'm in love with home. They're also the ones that probably can afford to have a really nice home office that's well appointed and off, not sitting at their kitchen table. And so that makes a huge difference in how people are showing up and what you're competing with. But again, from the commute perspective, the younger folks can't necessarily afford to live as close to the office. So they're trekking in however they need to get there.
Mhm.
And so in my mind, that means commute is not a complete deterrent. It's about the drive and the value you see once you're there. But if you get there and the office is empty, you're not going to have, you're not going to feel connected to
Yeah,
anything.
right.
You
What was
have
the
to
reason for
have
showing up?
socialization. Yeah, exactly. So that's a big part of it. And we're seeing clients even starting to look at using AI to help, monitor schedules and things. And how can I get a recommendation of, hey, my team is all going to be in that day, or the people I'm meeting with that day are going to be there. So I'm going to go in and make sure I'm there as part of that. And so I'm actually hopeful that AI can help a lot with just some of the coordination issues that we're seeing with the structured hybrid, um, which is kind of king right now in terms of how people have come back.
Structured hybrid. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean the what I have seen work the best is when you have an intentional reason for showing. You have an intentional
Mhm.
schedule, but you have a reason for showing up. So
Exactly.
I saw a lot of orgs early post pandemic just say, "All right, you can come in." And then it was like, "All right, come in, 2 to 3 days a week. All right, come in on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but then it's like I still don't. Okay, fine, I'm seeing people there, but it's when you have a reason, we're gonna have brainstorming, we're gonna do meetings, we're gonna have our whatever it might be.
Hmm.
The kind of work that showing up makes a difference for matters. Do
Absolutely.
you did is that what you've observed as well? Have you seen anything else in that
No, I would
vein?
say that's accurate. But we also can't be siloed into the thinking of like people are only showing up for collaborative work. That somehow we got into this mentality that it was like people come to the office to collaborate. People come
Yeah.
to the office to see people. And yeah, that's a huge part of it. And it's a big driver as to why people come in. But um, once they're there, they still have focus work they have to do. So the space also has to work and support them when they need to concentrate.
Mm-hmm.
And some people don't have good focus space at home. So they need to be able to come in and have that be, working really, really well for them. We talk about things like task complexity too. And, the more complexity you have in your task, which you get more complexity with higher up individuals. So if you're, I don't want to say lower, but if you're a more entry level employee, you have less complex tasks. And so for those folks, it's really important that space because they only need a handful of things when they come in. They need their chair, they need their desk, they need a meeting room, they need, their coffee. Don't mess with people's coffee. But if you have those things, that's a short list. So if you get any one of those things wrong, you're now messing with a huge core of your, kind of entry level, lower end staff. Whereas the higher complexity tasks are associated with more management. And so they need a laundry list of things. And Leesman's done a lot of research on this, like, I don't know, 52 things or something like that they identify as needing to do their job. So you have a little bit more room for, oops or an error here and there. But at the end
Mm.
of the day, they still have to have all of the things work for them too, or they're not going to want to come in either. So you have to balance that level of complexity with the design so that you are really making everything work well for everybody. Convenience. I always talk about convenience.
Oh, okay. Tell me about what is that? What define conven? What does convenience mean, right? And in context of work, why is that? Why did that just pop out as a term there?
Because we make things inconvenient for people. Like we put so much effort into policies and we say you have to be here now on these days or we're mandating you to come back or you have to be here between these hours or whatever we're putting stipulations on people and how they do their work. And the reality of the world is that we're a lot more fluid. We're a lot more connected globally. We have totally different hours and time zones that we're working in. And so we need to be a little bit more, we need to give a little bit more convenience to our folks and let them figure out what works best for them and how they work. And one of the failures of convenience is, we say we're going to take your desk away. We want to shrink our footprint. We don't have as many people coming in, so we're going to take your desk away. And that's that not having that one-to-one ratio of a person to owning a desk actually really negatively impacts, somebody's initiative and convenience factor of wanting to come in. And then on top of it, you say, now you're going to get an unassigned desk. And before you come in, you got to book it because if you don't book it, then you'll get here and you may not have a desk. And so now you're adding a step to their day that's already complex and hairy and all kinds of things. And so we're taking away more convenience. So it's things like that that are, we try to talk to our clients about and educate them on like how can we remove the excuses?
It does feel like the conversation can fluctuate between like the benefits for the company and the benefits for the employee.
Hmm.
The like you said, we're gonna oh hey, guess what? We're gonna close our main office that's downtown and we're gonna open up a collaborative lab in the cool part of town.
Hmm.
And the function of that becomes very different. And you're like you said, there's no desks there. What am I supposed to do? And so you're inherently maybe deterring people, right? So you think you're saving money on your footprint, on your real estate, but maybe you're there's just so many invisibilities, I think, or
Yeah.
visible like aspects to your work that you're just not understanding. And I guess that's part of what you're trying to bring to the table here, right? It's like you're
Hmm.
trying to visualize or help make visible the thing that the impacts of the way these things are designed so that they can make better choices. And which is like to me really an important part of this conversation because so many of the executives, right? We've got the like the Jamie Dimons of the world of the, like the financial services were the first to be
Hmm.
like, get the fuck back to the office. Like this is we've always done it this way. You can do it too, right? And that's it's like okay, but you're not understanding what's happening, and you maybe are not want to, but
Yeah. Well, and I read a really good article not too long ago about the whole purpose of mandates and how it, you know, at the core root of it, could you argue that it is an ego stroke? Because
I could.
you don't, yeah, when you're at home, like your wife's not coming up to you and telling you, like, asking permission and saying what a great job you're doing. Like you're in the workplace, you come in with a elevated level of respect and you're treated in an elevated way. And that has gone away for some of these guys and gals. Not to just pick on men.
Mostly guys though, right?
There's a lot of men in that environment,
Yeah,
but
right,
I'm sure it
right.
kind of goes both ways. So there is some question there to be asked, that people don't want to talk about, right? It's that nobody wants to say it's my ego that's driving it, but
Yeah.
they hide behind productivity declines. They hide behind, just drops and all kinds of different things. But at the end of the day, it's we know people can be productive if they have choice and autonomy over where they do their work, and you're not going to have the same level of burnout, and your people are going to respect you if you respect them, and I think that's a huge part of culture is that feeling like you're valued and how we put forth our workplace policies and what we give people to do their work, that
Yeah.
has a huge impact
Yeah.
on how we perceive our culture.
Yeah. Yeah. If there is a toxic culture or a negative culture, a culture that is not supportive, like how do you is there a way that you or even an office manager can create positive experiences through the physical elements that they can control or maybe just experiential? I guess I'm pinning it to physical, but maybe you'll say
Yeah.
otherwise.
Yeah. Well, two things. I guess on the side of, what can I do to increase the experience or make a better experience for people without changing space? Uh, we talk about all the time, like bringing in opportunities to upskill people, creating different, digital concierge services or things that allow people to make their lives easier. And those are things that we see clients rolling out and doing a lot more now. So it's not about like go out and spend a bunch of money and build a gym because
Mm-hmm.
that only will only ever cater to a small group of people that want to use the gym. Don't go out and, spend tons of money on all of these different amenities. You can really do it with focusing on some of the content that you give people, access to, again, upskill, learn different things, uh, give them food. God, they love their food. Give them food,
Yeah.
free food. And just some of those things go a really, really long way. In fact, somebody just told me recently that their son was looking to make a career move and had been given like a stipend, basically. Like they were working from home and it was like you get $50 a week or whatever to spend on, Uber Eats or whatnot. And that was a huge factor in do they stay or do they go? Because if they left, they were losing out on that like quote unquote lunch money.
Huh.
And that meant a lot to them especially as a younger person. That was a driver for them to stay where they were. So don't underestimate the power of food.
That's so interesting because yeah, it is $50, but
It's nothing for a company.
it's nothing for a company, but it's also like a signal. Like it's kind of going back to that like we see you and care for you. I would
Yeah,
think that's my guess,
it
right?
is.
Like I
That
don't
was
know
huge.
if that person would say that, but I'm thinking that it's like, oh, okay, you see what I appreciate that, right?
Hmm.
And it's nice. It's a treat, right? You're sort of getting that special, thing, right? So
$100%.
that's
And if
great.
you're not gonna, if you're in a toxic culture where people aren't gonna, management's never gonna fund a $50 a week,
Right.
card like that. You as a manager could still try and push to do little things like that. Take your teams out, do something to show that you're investing in them and that you care.
Hmm.
Give them a little bit more flexibility, cover for them a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Because what you give to them, they should, they'll mirror it back to you. And from a space perspective, we try if we're working with clients that are not into all of this stuff, and they're just like, get it done fast, get it done cheap, get us
Yep.
in,
Yep.
butts and seats. That's all we care about. We have seen a shift, one in how codes are asking for us to do things. So, for
What does
example,
that
the
mean?
code now requires that we have to have a mother's room in a facility.
Ah, okay.
But can we make the mother's room serve dual purpose by taking the plumbing outside of the mother's room and maybe making it a little bit more of a suite? So now you have maybe two small rooms and a little suite area outside so that the mother's rooms aren't limited to just moms. They can be used as wellness spaces for everybody. And then can you put those on a path of travel that's on the way to the restrooms or on the way to the cafeteria or, some type of space that everyone uses so that people don't necessarily know where you're going when you get up from your desk and you're not, put on blast because why are you using a wellness room in the middle of the day? So those are types of things that we can do in toxic cultures for clients, whether they know it or not, and just kind of work some of those things in.
Yeah. So where let's cast our mind forward. Do you see any trends, anything that you either think or hope will become more accepted or requested as you're kind of as we're sort of traveling away from the lockdowns, right? So away from the pandemic. We earlier we talked about the pre and the post pandemic, and before we didn't even talk about it. Now we're
Yeah.
talking about it. Like, what are some things that you think, or either, and just declare it, right? Is it something that you see starting to see patterns, or something that you're like, I would love to like project this. I want this to happen in the future. I'd love for folks to be able to have this.
Oh, for years, I've been wanting to have more robust wellness spaces. We certainly have the clients now that are doing like the little, you got four walls and a door and a lock and a chair. It's like, it's a wellness
And
room.
that's a
And you're
wellness
like,
room. Okay.
that's a wellness room. Yeah. And you're like, okay, um, it's questionable. I personally I would love to see more of the immersive technology get brought in into workplaces to leverage, like digital technology, projection mapping, color therapy, just a more sensory involved moment. So, when you do go into these wellness spaces, you feel transported because that's a key
Mm,
element to, things like attention restoration theory, and if you want to have a moment of revitalization, you need to feel like you're not in the moment that was stressing you out. And so just going into a room that looks like more of the office and closing a door behind you, it's a good start, but some people would rather just do that in the bathroom stall. And so the goal is like, let's get them someplace where they can really feel totally transported and
hmm
refreshed. So that's
hmm
something I would love to see get to a scalable point. And we are starting to see clients that are playing with different things in the technology world and doing some different aspects to merge a little bit more of the tech to do some of the heavier lift for stress relief and things. So that would be cool. I also would love to see that outside of just offices, traditional offices. We all have a workplace, but if you're in hospitality, if you're in retail, if you're in restaurants, if you're in education, you have no place to go to
Yeah.
refresh yourself for 5 minutes. And those places need it more than ever. So I would love to
I
see.
was, I had this until I didn't realize it until you just said it. So I was in a hotel over the weekend and it was really nice. It was like a Kimpton, right? So they do a nice job aesthetically and it
Yeah.
was like dark woods and it was, it's like lower lighting and it was wonderful. And then I saw one of the staff kind of walk out and then walk into one of the back rooms and you sort of open the door and it's like bright fluorescent lights and like just steel racks and it's like it's such a buzzkill
Mhm.
and look, I understand you need kind of more practical space, but it does. I don't know, it just struck me as like how different the spaces were and it was right there, right? You're just like, oh my god, that's horrible, it's
Right?
offensive. You're like, what the hell? So I feel for them. I mean, it's
It's a
sometimes it's like it's nice that you can work there, but then in a nice aesthetic space, but you have to like you're like, I'm gonna go to the luggage room. Blah.
right. And you can't walk away and have that nice aesthetic space for yourself. So just that example is a perfect one of what are you saying to your employees in terms of who matters most in that kind
Mm-hmm.
of space? It's the
Mm-hmm.
client, it's the consumer, it's the person who's paying, not the employee.
Mm-hmm.
But that's backwards in my head because your employee is going to be the face of your organization and the face that makes that person want to come back because they had a connection with them or they were
Yeah.
treated so poorly. They're like, I'm never coming back here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would love to see workplaces treated more equally when it comes to that bit.
Uh, what? So when you're talking about the space, the sort of the shifting kind of the sensory, the senses,
Hmm.
right, of the spaces. Um, it seems like when you have those, or when I have experienced where the soundtrack, whatever is music or I don't know, ambient sounds, is
Yeah.
sort of different from one to the other. That
Hmm.
strikes me as like really impressive as far as how different it makes the space feel, and it feels like a relatively easy way to kind of change the
Hmm.
vibe of a space. What is your this is my armchair architect talking.
You can absolutely do music in a lot of different ways. Interestingly, one of our biggest requests is for music in the restrooms. People
Yes.
hate quiet restrooms, so you
Yep.
can have a little bit more energized music in the restrooms, but that's a big thing. People also want to have music when they first walk in. So like that initial threshold moment,
Hmm.
we talk about the importance of like the salient feature or like what's pulling you in, grabbing your attention and walking you into the space. So leveraging multisensory moments will really help with that energized music. In terms of just like soundtrack, though, in the background, nature sounds are really the best. And something that doesn't sound engineered, it needs to have enough of a mix behind it that you don't hear the same bird tweeting every 5 minutes or it'll
Yes.
make you crazy.
Yeah.
So we don't want to do that. But then also scents, like the adding smells, and we are seeing clients do more of that, especially in the hospitality realm, where they have like a customized scent that's made so that's unique to them and their brand, but you have something that initiates a certain feeling or emotion when you walk in the door. So you don't have to pump it everywhere, but entry, that's just a nice hit. And people should be able to say, it reminds me of something, but they shouldn't be able to say what the something is.
Specifically what? Yeah.
Yeah. If they say what it is, it's too strong. So that's something to keep in mind.
Is it too strong? I'm just gonna nerd out about this for a second because I do feel like we're decades behind on smell-o-vision, right? Like on
Oh
the
my
smell
gosh.
thing. So when
They are
you
emailing scents though now. Did you know that? Somebody figured
no,
out how to email a scent. Yeah.
what
It's
are you
wild.
talking about? Do I have to have a special USB
You have to have a
scent
special
producer?
printer. You gotta have a special printer, but they will you can email a scent, which I thought was crazy. But
What the fuck? That's crazy. Oh my god, you're blowing my mind right now. The okay. You're throwing me off.
sorry.
Too
Come back.
intense. Okay. So you're walking into a space and it has to like what was I gonna say about the reminding you You said you reminded people, but it can't be specifics. It's too, it has to be the right level, right? It has to be, it can't be too
Mhm.
much or too little. Oh,
Right.
what is it? Uh, is it that you can scent, like you can go, oh, I can smell something, or you're just like, oh, I'm walking in and it kind of feels nice. Like, is there a moment when it like
It feels
is it?
nice.
It feels nice, right? It's not
Yeah.
like, oh, what's that? It's not like you're walking into the mall, right? It's like there's
No.
something just sort of different. It doesn't feel like you've
Yeah.
artificially created a scent, right? Like that's
I
what it
think
is.
what we say about good design is you should never be able to point out what made it good.
Yeah.
The same way you
Yeah.
can point to something and say, I hate that design. This doesn't work. The light's bad or whatever, or I'm too cold. That when you point out bad design, you shouldn't be able to point out good design. It should just
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And it
interesting.
makes
There's
people
so many.
happier. And when you
Yeah.
say that, when people are happier and people are relaxed and people feel that they're valued, that will help your culture because now people want to actually socialize and speak to one another. And those are kind of key things.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they're counteracting the stress that will inevitably show up, right?
Yeah,
Like in work. So interesting. This is fascinating. Well, I do think we are in a new moment for physical spaces, and people are going, "Oh, we can't just assume that people are going to show up because we told them to," right? It's like
hmm
a really
it's not
wonderful
working.
moment. So amazing. Valerie Jardon, Managing Director of Strategy for Interior Architects. You can learn more about their work at interiorarchitects.com. Val, so great to have you on Great Mondays
Yeah,
Radio. Thank you for educating and sharing a little bit more about what it takes to create an amazing space that supports an amazing culture.
absolutely. Thanks, Josh, for having me.